So we're going to be talking about the book Wicked. Now, I do want to preface this by saying when I originally read this, I was like 11 or 12. I was about my son's age. I absolutely was in a bind with this book, okay? Like, I absolutely adored this. This was probably one of the first books to the beginning of my fairy tale retelling love, okay? Now, I've always been a big reader. Okay, I was never not reading, let's put it that way. This had me in such a bind that me growing up between New York City and upstate New York, so did grow up partly on a farm, okay, like I was around the cows, I had horses, whatever. I got to go see, I had the privilege, okay, big privilege, of going to see a lot of Broadway plays. I had been offered to go. I was maybe 13 or 14. And so this was a few years after I had read the book. I had said no, stupidly, to going to see the play because I did not want it ruining my love of this book. I regret that so bad now. Anyway, so when I heard that the movie was coming out, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to reread the book. I already know all of the soundtrack, like, already. I'm so sorry if you're going to be in the theater with me. I might start singing. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try. I'm going to try not to. I'll keep it down. I'll keep it down. I promise. I promise. No, thankfully, like, when we go to the theaters, we usually go when other people are, like, at work or in school so that we have the theater to ourselves, and it's usually pretty empty. There might be, like, one or two other people, so I'm not that worried. So I'm going to keep that in mind. We'll probably go the week after Thanksgiving, or maybe if my son's feeling well, and the kids are in school, if the kids are in school, because I know they do it differently around here, if the kids are in school, like Monday or Tuesday of that week. So we'll see. Anywho, I am so excited to see Cynthia. So don't get me wrong, I love Ariana Grande. I had the pleasure of seeing her in concert in 2019 with my best friend Lindsay. Thank you so much. I had the best time of my life. I keep thinking about that concert. But there's something about Cynthia when she sings, when she puts her soul into it, right? And then that's not to say that Ariana Grande doesn't, but there's something about Cynthia's artistry with her voice where it, like, she almost like hugs your soul, okay? Like, doesn't matter how deep the meaning of the song is, it's like a hug to the soul. Like, it's powerful, it's soothing at the same time as powerful. Like, I am so excited to watch her on screen in this movie, especially because when I was thinking about the casting and how Elphaba and Nessie are portrayed in the book, they experienced a lot of racism. And, like, I was worried who they were going to pick, but I think they did a fantastic job choosing Cynthia specifically, for many reasons. Okay, like, many reasons. But yeah, I mean, the book is phenomenal. I will say that there are talks of, in the early chapters, of castration and infidelity. Not every parent wants to discuss that, so I want to, hey, here's my preface on that. I remember reading that as a kid. Let me preface this by saying, I don't remember reading that as a kid, but rereading it now, that's not something that I really want to talk to with my son. Now, granted, he should know what castration is. We're on farms, so, I mean, he really should know. I don't know. Anyway, but when I was rereading it, I was like, this isn't quite appropriate for, the pre-teenage. But it's definitely a phenomenal book. There are 4 books in the series. This is just the first one, so Will we get more? I'm excited to. I know there's only the one play. Like I said, I regret not going. Stupid. But I highly recommend the book. Highly recommend the book. Now, for those that are going or asking around, I did see one person. It's kind of like a prequel. So think of it as more of like the multiverse. Like if you're into Marvel, it's like the Oz is a different location, right? Like a different world. So only in the film, in the 1939 film, was Oz considered a dream, and it was kind of more of like the after, because nobody was really going to believe it. So just hear me out. Anyway, so this book is a retelling, but it kind of starts as the prequel, to understand how Alphaba is treated, how Nessie is treated, her sister, why they're green, why they become the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wicked Witch of the East, and why Glinda is different, right? But the beginning of the book goes in between like Elphaba's perspective of watching Dorothy and her companions on the yellow brick road to like her birth, how she comes to be, how she goes to college, and all of that. Like that's the premise of the book. So there's definitely talks of racism, there's definitely talks of classism, ableism, because Nessie is differently abled, right? She's disabled. I believe, if I remember correctly, and again, this has been a long time, I'm in the middle of rereading it, that Nessie was born without arms. So it was kind of cool that even back then we had representation of different bodies. You know, there were definitely power dynamics. We had some animals that could talk, some animals that didn't talk, like the courage, yeah, the couragely lion, right? The cowardly lion. Oh my God, the cowardly lion, could talk, but not all animals could talk, right? How the wizard in Oz treats people and uses people, how he uses fear to make people follow him, and so much more. So it's definitely an interesting story. Now, if you do like this book, Gregory Maguire has a whole entire series of fairy tale retellings from Snow White to the Cinderella stepsisters, and it just takes a different perspective, and kind of humanizes the villains, right? The evil stepsisters and Alphaba and all of these things. So I think it's really cool. Like I said, I started reading his works back when I was 10, 11, 12. So this was like early 2000s. I remember going to get them at Borders specifically. And so like, I remember. It's kind of weird because I remember exactly which Borders it was. It was the Borders that used to be by the AMC Theater in Murray Hill. So if you know Manhattan, there was a Borders there. Okay, that's where I used to go. Well, one of the places, but that's where I got these books anyway. And just give it a try anyway. Or you can go down to the cart where I'm gonna link it. So if you want to buy it, give it a read.